Hi, welcome to Life and Times, and my special guests are Marjorie McLennan, her husband Malcolm, and their daughter Kim McLennan Robbins. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we're here to talk because I know that both of you have lived here a long time. Were you born here?
I was born here in 1942.
So was I.
And I'm sure you were too, Kim.
I was born here in '62.
Mm-hmm. So, whose family was here the longest? Because I know both. Your
Probably
family.
Malcolm's.
My dad was born here in 1903, but we moved away during the war. We moved up to the coast, and because dad and mum got jobs in the shipyards, so we spent all the wartime there. And then after the war, we moved to Vancouver for 3 years, and then we come back to Fernie in '49. So we've
And
been
you've
here
been here ever
since.
since?
Yeah.
So you went to school here mostly?
Yeah, most of my schooling
Mm-hmm.
till grade 10.
Mm-hmm.
Then I joined the forces.
Ah.
Yeah.
Were you sent overseas?
No.
No?
I joined between the Korean War and the Vietnam, so I was lucky, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What was Fernie like when you were growing up here?
Oh, it was a quiet mining town. Everybody knew everybody. You walk down the street, you say hello to everybody. Now we're the strangers here.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It
Yeah.
does seem that way at times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then he joined the Navy.
I joined the Navy, and then 5 years in the Navy. I done my time. I got out. And I come back home.
5 years you were in the Navy.
Yeah. And then I come back to home and worked in the arena for 6 years. And from there I was on to 2 other jobs, and then back to I was at the mine. In fact, I was at the mine when the mine blew up in '67.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So who were your parents? What were their names?
William McLennan and Dorothy. My mother was born in Wales,
Ah, okay.
so
And your dad?
he was born in Cold Creek.
In Cold Creek.
I think we've been here longer than a lot of them.
I think you've been here a long time.
Yeah.
Do you have any siblings? Brothers or sisters?
I got one sister left, May. She lives in
Grammar. So was it just the two of you
no,
growing
there
up?
was three. I had 3 sisters and myself, and I was the youngest.
Oh, you were
in
the
family.
youngest of
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, my oldest sister and the one
Stella.
just above me, Margaret. She's passed. They both passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, that was Stella was the oldest one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
and
think I remember them because,
Stella lived in Creston and
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I always remember you and your family, and May, but
Yeah.
not the rest of them.
Yeah.
But you've been here almost as long, right? Your
Yes.
family?
Yeah, my parents, well, my dad was born in Fernie in 1908. And,
Oh, during the year of the big fire.
Yeah, yeah, and then he met my mother in Fernie because she was here at McCook's store helping Joe McCook's wife because she was not
remember
well.
Patterson's store?
I was
Yeah,
just going to ask,
Patterson's
that was
store.
Patterson's store,
Yeah,
wasn't
and that
it?
was Joe McCook's store originally.
My dad actually bought his house from Mr. McCook.
Okay, because I
On
used
First
to go
Avenue.
up there
Yeah.
and pick up the laundry every week for Mum to do from Mr. McCook. Little,
Mm-hmm.
like a hanky, a little red hanky with his laundry in it, and bring it down, take it back. And,
What was your mother's maiden name? Ooh,
Grillis.
oh,
Grillis was her
Grillis.
maiden name. Yeah, and
And
then
so-
she married Steve Pisoni.
right, because I know your last name was Pizzoni.
Yeah.
And so was she from Fernie as well?
She was from Natal.
Natal.
Yeah, she was born there.
So local.
Still local, yes,
Mhm.
yeah. And she was born in 1923. Okay, yeah, I always mix that. Yeah, 23.
And did you have siblings?
No, one brother, sorry. One brother, yes, Laddie. And he lives in Vancouver now.
Okay, was he older than you?
2 years older.
2 years older than you. For some reason I remember his name.
He used to work at Fernie Cottage.
Oh, okay.
He drove with Cliff Day and
Uh-huh.
whoever owned, I can't remember who owned it.
Wilson
Remember?
owned it.
Wilson.
Yeah, that's
Mr.
right.
Wilson. Yeah, so he worked there, and then he drove truck all his life. He's still driving truck today in Vancouver.
Still working.
Yeah, still working.
Yeah.
So
Says he
Mary
can't afford
got-
to retire.
Hey, and we're living in Vancouver. I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard enough living in Fernie,
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
but living in Vancouver, I think he's probably right.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, what do you remember, Marjorie, of Fernie growing up?
Just a quiet place, and I remember the flood. I don't know if what year it was for sure. We used to go on from our basement at the Curry Bowl was right to the 13th step of the basement, the water in the basement.
That's quite interesting because let's mention that where the Curry Bowl restaurant is, that was your parents' home. That was where you were raised.
That's where I was raised.
Mhm.
And then I was just born in Miskovich's house. That
Which would have been where?
on 8th Avenue,
8th
I
Avenue,
believe.
8th, and
Right across from, the bowling alley, just behind the
Oh,
bowling alley.
where the bowling alley used to
Yeah.
be, which is the
It's got a big-
Quatrine block.
Yeah.
So it's behind there.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
got a big porch on there, right on the
Oh
corner.
yeah, oh yeah.
So-
I know that house then.
Okay, right in the front on 8th Avenue.
Mhm.
That was the bedroom where I was born by midwife. Mrs.
Yes, because of
Miskovich.
course that's what was used
Yes.
back in the day.
Yeah.
Were midwives. I was
Yeah.
born at home with a midwife as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then just back to the Curry Bowl,
Mhm.
which is our home. And so anyway, I remember the flood and going on a raft to get across the road to go to school.
So what decade would that have been, that flood?
49 to 50, or 49, 50.
Oh yeah?
There.
That was when the big flood was, 49. That's, yeah, we come back that year after the flood.
And I went to the Catholic school.
Oh, you went to the Catholic school,
Yes.
so you were raised a Catholic.
I was raised Catholic, yeah. I still call myself a Catholic, but we have Andrea
Mhm.
Fernie come.
Oh, well,
to
Andrea's
us.
great. She's
Yeah.
non-denominational.
Exactly.
I mean, look at her now. She's the pastor for the United Church and the Anglican Church, and
Mhm.
let's face it, the Anglican is just a breakaway from the Catholic Church
Yeah.
because of that King,
That's
Henry
right.
VIII.
Yeah.
Little selfish guy that he
Yeah.
was. That's right.
And we had the nuns that were teaching us and playing
Mhm.
baseball with us. And Sister Euphrasia, she taught me piano lessons there in the nuns' home, right next to the school.
Oh, really? So
Which
you
is gone.
remember when the convent was there, which
Yes,
is
I
now the community garden, but
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it was a nice, it was a beautiful building.
That's
that.
right.
yeah,
took my
it was.
piano
I
lesson
was
there.
sad when it was torn down.
Yeah.
That's where the piano lessons were, and so it was
So what grade did you go up to?
grade 8.
Because it only went up to grade 8, right?
Yeah, grade
And then you
8,
had to
and then we had
transfer to the,
transferred to
Public
to
school.
the public school, the Fernie Central School.
Yep. And went to school there for a few years, and then I was in an accident and had my leg broken and got a plate in there and everything. So anyhow, I said that's enough school for me. So once I got better, then I got a job at the telephone office. And was
Oh, did you work at the
telephone
telephone
operator.
office? In the office that is now the apartment?
Yes, Lillian Wilson was my boss.
She was still the boss then?
She was the
because
boss.
in 62,
That would have been
63, and
19
64 I worked there after school and weekends.
Okay, I
And she was
there-
still the head
Yeah,
Yeah.
lady.
I was there in 1957. Yeah, and then,
Well, talk a little bit about working at the telephone office.
well, it was really interesting because when you first went there,
Mm-hmm.
they give you a pile of books to read. Well, nothing makes sense to you, the pile of books, until you got onto
The big
the
board.
board there.
Mhm.
And then, oh, that's what that was, and that's what that is. And yeah, I used to be in the section where the homes were on the
Right.
board.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly,
It was a
there was like, I
business.
think five sections, 1,
Some-
2, 3, 4, and then the fifth one was long distance.
Oh, well, we had a mixture of long distance, because when you pulled the cord up and plugged it in, then you just sent it down the board to whoever's number you needed. I remember ringing, like, our number at home was 358R, so it was 2 long rings that you had to do, and I remember the fire hall, or the hospital, one was 53 and I think one was 13. And,
Oh, you got a good memory.
well, no, it's not that good, but,
Huh?
and the police was 147, I knew that. There's different ones that you had to remember.
I remember that the mining company had 3, oh my gosh, I can't remember what they were called, 3 openings for themselves.
Okay.
And those were supposed to be clear,
Uh-huh.
so that only the calls that came in from the mine,
See, I
were able
left before, we had the old things that fell down, and when you went there, you had the lights.
yeah.
Yeah, we
So-
didn't have the lights, we transferred, that's when they were doing the changeover
So
when I
what
left.
was it like before?
It was little things on the board that would flop down when somebody rang in. And so
Oh.
then you plugged in and,
So I
answered
had
with
the
your
modern
back cord.
version.
You had
which was
the
pretty
modern-
terminal,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this was more primitive.
Oh, well, I just remember that it was always like number please, number please, number please.
Yeah.
And they had a telephone booth outside of
there
the
was
telephone office, and many times at night, guys would come and they were lonely and they wanted to talk to the telephone operators. Yeah.
No, but the little thing that would flip down, and so that's when you plugged in. And then I always ended up, somebody says there's a transfer on there for you, Marge, and so I'd plug in my back cord, or the front cord, and I'd go on, and then it was somebody, Mr. Winters actually, from Cranbrook, that he would put in grocery orders, because he came around town and got grocery orders and to the pass and that. And it was all on a payphone, so of course you gotta write everything down and meter it and everything, but they caught me every time on that one, so I had to do all the different calls.
Did you used to get the calls long distance that would ask for the bars?
No,
No?
that I remember.
I remember always getting calls from long distance operators saying, connect me to the bar, and I would say, well, which one? And they'd say, Fernie has more than one, Fernie has 8 or more. Then they would be shocked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Yes.
That was quite interesting though, like if you haven't worked it, you have no understanding of how interesting and intricate
It's
those
very
boards were, right?
Yes, yes. I think I had a picture off Facebook or something.
I wish I had taken
But,
photos, I didn't have a camera back
Yeah,
then.
me either, And who knew today
Yeah,
what we
that
would
would have
want?
been such
It would-
a lovely memory to
It
have
was.
had.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was fun.
It was a fun job, it was actually the most fun job I've ever had in my life.
Yes.
And no complaints.
And it was very busy after school,
Mhm.
because everybody's phoning each other about homework and
Right.
this kind of thing. And of course, you have to monitor your lines to make sure they're still talking, or, because you'd say, are you waiting, or, can't remember what you say. Are you- Yeah, you say something anyway, are you waiting, or are you through, or something. And if
Now,
they,
see, I didn't have to do that
oh, we had
in the
to do that.
60s, late 60s.
Yeah, I was there in 57.
So they had really,
That's when
Improved
the-
it, yeah.
They had changed it all and that, so.
now I know that in 1959 you were Miss Fernie, and I have a photograph that I took off the paper
Okay.
because when Glenn Bossio brought me some memorabilia from his dad, because his dad was in the Blazers and in the Fernie Rangers and in the Annex hockey player teams.
Mhm.
And so he brought me the sweaters and the jackets and the jersey.
Oh, yeah.
And then he brought the original free press from 1959, and your photograph is right there.
Right there on the front.
And I actually took a photograph of that photograph, and if it works out good, we're gonna add it. Unless you have a good one that we could use.
No, that's the same one.
Yeah.
When I ran against Dalma Sivadin from Sparwood and Harriet Buck from the South Country.
For Miss Fernie?
Yes. for
Oh,
Miss
that
Fernie.
doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, that's the way it was. And anyway, it's how many votes and stuff that you sell tickets for
Mhm.
and everything to get this. But anyway, I won, and so I was queen that year. So when they put the cloak and the crown and everything on, they put it backwards. They put, instead of having white on the front, on the cloak, they put the dark side. So the pictures, the few that I did have, you can't see much anyway.
Well, the photo that I saw was just from your neck up, and you look
That
you
was
look
just with
beautiful.
the dress on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you look beautiful.
But after they give you a cape when you're sitting in the arena.
Well, I was
for
going to
the
ask, where
carnival.
did they do it, and who sponsored it? Was it the Rotarians?
Mm,
I think it was the Rotary.
do you think?
I think so.
Okay, I'm not quite sure.
Oh, we're going to take a little break. See, when I get engrossed,
Yeah.
you
what he said up
absolutely
in-
did, and
said
I like that. Tell me, say that again on air.
Do you have a picture of the house you were talking about, where the Katrine apartments are?
Where the curry bowl?
Yeah, well, do you
Oh.
have your other house? Do you have a picture of your other house, where you were born?
Oh, no, I don't.
Not
Yeah.
when you were
That would be
Not
nice
where I
to
was
have.
born, but it's right there on the corner across
Well,
from.
of 8th and, be 8th and 10th or 8th?
Is it across from Chryslis' house, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
big house, the
Yeah.
veranda, around 3/4 of it.
Because it's got the beautiful big veranda.
Yeah, and
Yep.
it's right on the avenue, and there's one bedroom window. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's still a bedroom, but
Yeah.
that's where I was born in.
I thought maybe you might have a picture in
No.
your stuff.
It would be nice though to have a photo of your house before it was the,
Yeah, right.
you know, if you do have a
Oh,
photo.
the curry bowl?
Yeah.
Kim
Yeah.
probably has.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have that.
because, you know,
Yeah.
maybe you can send it to us digitally,
Yeah.
take a photo of it and send it to me.
She took a lot of our pictures that she wanted to fix up things on for us and that,
Mhm.
so.
I made them all digital, so.
Oh, that's
You
great,
do
so
that.
you got lots,
I
that's
do.
good.
Yeah.
Are we on, Patrick?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Wasn't sure if we were on or not. Hey, this is a conversation, it's not like a relaxed
I could
conversation.
trim some stuff later.
Good.
I would like now to bring Kim in. She's been so good being quiet. And I just heard you say you were born in '62, and you were born in Fernie, right?
Yes, in the old hospital. Well, I guess the middle hospital, since
Yeah.
there was an older one before, but
Or Park
the one,
Places.
yeah, where Park Place is. I was
Mhm.
born there in June of '62 and stayed here till I was 18. So grew up
Then
here.
where did you go to school?
First year I went to BCIT in Vancouver and just did one term there. And then I came back home and I decided to join the Canadian Forces like Dad and went
Oh,
off to
did you?
Cornwallis like
I
he
didn't
did.
know that.
So I went to Cornwallis and
How long were you?
very short. I got injured during basic training and injured my knee quite badly. So they offered me surgery in Ottawa or a medical release. So I took a medical release and I moved back to Fernie. And I took office administration at the college here. And then I thought, okay, I'll work at the mine for a little bit, which I did. And then I decided to go into nursing and I moved to Edmonton in 1982. Did my nursing and still work in Edmonton 35 years later.
So you specialized though.
Right, I went in and did the operating room training on staff at the University of Alberta Hospital. And I'm still in the first job that I was hired into in 1984.
Well,
Still
you know, I'm totally amazed because growing up, I wanted to be a nurse, and it didn't work out because, you know, we were an immigrant family, and I was the oldest of four, and my dad said, oh, why don't you just get married? And as it happened, Nick was there, and sure, let's get married.
Yeah, all right.
But nursing has always intrigued me, and operating nurse is something that I don't think I would have done because I'm a little bit squeamish, but, you know, watching doctors cut people's bodies open. So I really admire you for being an operating room nurse.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah?
Still love it today.
You don't, well, obviously you don't feel
No,
squeamish or anything.
my very first day in the operating room as a student, I watched and then I went home and I learnt my instruments, and the next day I scrubbed in with a senior registered nurse, and she stood back, I did the case, and I knew I'd spend my life in the OR.
Wow,
And I
you
have
were
done-
meant for that.
I
But
was.
if she got to cut it home, oh my God.
The end of the world.
You know?
But yet,
That's-
here she is.
Yeah.
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 Can't
yeah.
believe.
I've done every type of surgery and specialized in cardiac. I did open heart with Dr. John Callahan, who was the innovator of the pacemaker, did the first open heart in Canada. So working with him was a huge privilege. So I enjoyed that, worked with a lot of great surgeons. Anywhere I traveled in the world, my surgeons would set me up. So I've seen cardiac surgery around the world. And then I went on and specialized in urology and general surgery. And then I became the educator for the department. And then I started working half-time at the hospital, and I taught at the university for 10 years, the postgrad OR course. And so now I'm just working half-time and just starting my 36th year, and still love going to work every day.
It certainly sounds like it from all your postings, but I have to say, I don't think I've met anybody that travels as much as you and your family does.
No.
Like, your stamina for traveling is unbelievable because, you know, jet lag.
Mhm.
But you come home from one trip and you're off on another one. I can't keep up with your posts, never mind your life. So you've been to many, many wonderful places.
Mhm.
Tell me about some of them.
Well, I think the reason that we travel so much is that we looked at mom and dad, and they always said that they were going to do all this traveling when they retired. And then, unfortunately, dad got sick and had, you know, his spinal cord tumor removed and had a stroke, and they really haven't been able to travel. So we save for the future, but we travel as much as we can because of what we saw with them. We're not waiting till we retire.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
And we've been,
A lot of us wait.
yes,
Yeah.
And
yes.
what for?
Until you
That's how
can't
we
do
were
it.
brought up.
Yeah.
We're brought up that way.
Yeah,
You
you're
wait
right.
till you retire, then you can travel.
Yeah.
Right,
We tell the kids now, you want to go somewhere,
Do
go.
it.
yeah.
You got that little card that'll take you anywhere you want to go.
Yeah.
Credit
So-
cards.
Yeah, no, I understood. And no, it's true though,
Yeah.
because, you know, you wait until you're older and then you have health problems and then
Yeah.
you don't want to travel, you're afraid to
Yeah.
travel.
Yeah.
And that's why we started traveling. Our daughter was 6 weeks old when she had her first plane ride, and she's a great traveler. She's been all over the world. We've taken her to Australia 3 times, New Zealand 3 times. She's been to Chile. We wanted to see where Dad was posted in the Navy, so we went to Valparaiso, Chile. We've been all over Europe. We've done, I went to Israel twice.
Only twice? I thought you'd
Twice.
gone longer. Honestly, I thought you'd been there more than that.
No, and now for our daughter's 17, she'll be graduating this year, and her goal is to hit all 7 continents, so we just booked a cruise to Antarctica. So we're taking her to Antarctica. So now all she has is Africa left. We've done Asia, we've done all over. So we take turns picking where we go. So when she was 9, we let her choose, and we said, you go and think about it for a couple days, come back and tell us where you want to go. So we thought, oh yeah, we're going to Disneyland somewhere, something Disney. She comes back, I want to go to China. Out of the blue. A friend of hers at dance was from China, and she wanted to go dance on the Great Wall of China, which we did.
And she,
So,
her daughter Michaela is does dancing.
Fabulous little dancer.
She's
yeah,
Highland
she's
dancing
a competitive
and
Highland
dancing.
Irish
She's
dancer.
been to Ireland too,
Yeah, she's trained in Ireland and Scotland.
and
and
Scotland. So
has
she's been
competed
there.
all over the world, won
Wow,
many competitions all over the world.
that
And
is
then
pretty.
they had to go to Ireland to see where Mel's mother was born.
Yeah.
So they've been there, what, last year?
2 years ago, we
2
went
years
to
ago.
Wales.
2 years
Okay,
already.
Wales, sorry.
Yes,
So you have a home here in Fernie,
yes,
so obviously your roots in Fernie are strong.
yes, yes, we love to come home.
So even though you're traveling the world, Fernie, so why is, aside from your parents, why is Fernie special to you?
I think just because we like the small town atmosphere, we still have, my best friend that I grew up with still lives here. So we get to see her when we're home, and just a lot of family ties, like Christmas Eve. Every year since I can remember, we spend with Ron and Jeannie Parker, which he used to be my babysitter when I was little, and then I
Ron was my baby, yeah. I got Ron to babysit for, didn't have to pay him, just had to give him a package of Velveeta cheese slices. So that was his payment. He said I was cheap, I bought a small package. That's what he tells me today, but anyway, yeah.
so it's those ties that
Mm-hmm.
I like to come home.
You got your brother here too.
And my brother is out at Kukanusa.
Oh, does your son live in these parts? I thought he lived far away.
No, he's in not my brother, my son.
Your son,
My
your
son
son.
lives at Kukanusa, at the Ostrich RV Ranch.
Oh, I did not know
At the
that.
campsite.
Was he away before though?
Nope,
No, he's always lived close
he's
by?
worked at the mine, lived at home till,
He moved you out of the
yeah,
house.
he moved us out. 7 trucks came and put us into the Katrina Apartments.
2 hours to move it.
2
So where were
hours.
you living before in Fernie? Like you had a
Right
house
by the laundromat, 522 8th Avenue.
on 8th Avenue?
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't move far away from where
Oh,
you
no,
were
1
raised.
block.
You're like me, 3 weeks,
Or
3
2
blocks
blocks
away,
away.
and that
Yeah.
seemed far.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, we were down by, in the Curry Bowl, which is, we always associate it with Sarah's Grocery across
Yeah.
the road. And a few blocks down, we bought Alec Gregic's house from him where he used to live.
Oh, and then he moved into the house that he's in?
The one he built.
Ah,
He built
okay.
that
And
house.
so we bought the house off of him and remodeled it all,
Mhm.
Mel did it. And then we watched the laundromat get built and, because they used our power and everything to start on the
Mhm.
work. And yeah, no, Luella and George Booth, the ones that
Yeah,
built
I
it.
remember them.
Yes, very nice people.
Lovely. So, what made you move from your house to the Katrina Apartments, you said? You
No,
moved?
Well, we
Yeah.
we had to sell the house because Mel couldn't do any more work.
Oh,
and
okay.
if you can't keep up your house,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
If
there's
it's
no
after
point
it, you might
keeping
as
it.
well not have it.
So, and he found a girlfriend, and that was it. They moved in together. We moved out, and they moved her in.
Oh, so
That
your
was
son
it.
moved into your house?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that was kind
That's
of
what I
nice.
always tell
He was
everybody.
there, and then that was in October the 1st to.
Yeah,
When did they get married?
67,
No,
or 97.
nice.
97, and so anyway, they got married the following June, and a big wedding, great, just in our flower garden
Mhm.
at the house there. So then they had a big party at the community center. So he hasn't gone too far, and then his father-in-law had passed away, and he went out to stay with the mother because they had the campsite
Mhm.
at Kukanusa, and they had a cabin there, and that's where they lived, just so that they were close by.
Mhm. Well, that was really
Then they
nice.
got a modular home put
Mhm.
in, and yeah, so now he's still at the mine, but he does all the maintenance at the Kukanusa campsite.
He's a busy guy.
Very
Yeah.
busy.
4 days at the mine and 5 days at home.
Mhm. You do not have lazy children.
No, that's true, it's one thing, both good.
And Lance has no ambition to go outside the valley.
Mhm.
He's quite happy right where he's at.
Yeah, he likes the South Country.
In fact, he wouldn't even move back into town if he had
No,
to.
that's what he said.
He would say, they bought a place in Jaffrey.
Well, look how
Oh,
many
it's
Fernie
like-
people have bought into the South
South
Country.
Country,
Oh,
Yeah. A lot.
Yes.
A lot.
I mean, the weather's better, but I don't like the idea of the drive. I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, I like living in town,
Yeah, me too.
but I do love the whole area.
Mhm.
Mhm.
No, it's-
But let's go back and tell me a little bit of what you remember growing up in Fernie, as how it was changed, how different it was, besides, the fact that we were a mining town. Do you remember, like, some of the events that we used to have, like the Labor Day event?
Well, there was Labor Day, yeah,
Yeah.
big parade uptown. I remember the circus coming to town all the time across from the telephone office where I worked. You'd
Oh,
have
'cause
the
that was all an
41
empty
lot.
lot.
It was an empty
Yeah,
lot.
it was
Where the
called a-
telephone office is now in the fire hall, that was an empty lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, telephone company has that.
Yeah, right on
Building
the
in
corner now, yeah.
Yeah, that whole lot was called the 41 lot.
Ah,
And that's where the circuses would all be held. So, I don't know, Traits Woods. Well, at that point, we were living in, when Mel and I got married in 61, we got an apartment in
Napanee.
Napanee apartment.
oh yes.
So we stayed there, and then Kim was born following year later, and I got her all dressed up and everything, ready to go out for a little walk in the buggy. And so strolled down to Traits Woods, And at those days, you could leave the buggy outside,
I
people
know,
would, and they
and
would
it was
sleep
safe.
there, it
Yeah.
was safe.
Wouldn't
yeah.
do it now.
No.
So I went into Traits
You'd be
Woods
gone.
and
Yes, exactly.
went through Traits Woods, and of course you can go through the whole store.
We didn't
So I
run the door
walked-
up the next, way down the
Went
block.
right down to the furniture part and then out that door, and I went down to MC Cash Groceries to get my groceries. And I was pushing the cart around there, and oh my God, I left Kim up the street. So I just put the cart to the side, and I went running up the street to get her, and she was still there sleeping. Thank God. At least I think it's her. She had the same clothes on. Whatnot. So anyway, brought her down the street, and well, I left her outside again, got my groceries, and then we went home. But yeah, it was pretty scary that day.
Mhm. I do remember in the 50s, late 50s, Trightswood having those different departments.
Yeah, and you could walk right
Yeah.
And that Toyland upstairs.
Yes.
Where they went into
At
all the
Christmas,
toys at Christmas.
you could go up.
Yeah.
through. That was
And
it.
I remember everything was at eye level because I was little, but I would look and I would see all these toys on the table, and it was just like Mr. Roy Ursel
Oh yeah.
was
Yeah.
up there.
Yes.
He was in charge, and
Yeah.
he would let me just stand there and stare at all those toys. Never bought anything, but you know, loved to go up there and look
Yeah.
at everything.
Yeah, we always used to go up there, all the kids used to
Yeah.
go up there, just look around and
Then
couldn't
across
afford
the-
anything, so. we
At
left.
Easter, if you guys remember, they would have all those trays of yellow and blue little chicks. Remember those little tiny soft chicks, Easter chicks? And I remember that my dad gave me 5 cents, and I went up there and bought one of the yellow one, and I think I kept it for about 40 years.
Oh, wow.
It was just, you know, first time.
Yeah.
I still like them when I see them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And across the street was Marshall Wells,
Yes.
and I worked there for a while
Oh yeah.
in Marshall Wells for Bill
Uh,
Coyle.
It was Ernie who owned it.
It was Ernie that owned it, and Bill Quill, he was there also.
Oh, because he was a nephew and he worked there too
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, he did.
Ah, okay.
And then there was Mrs. Quill that lived upstairs, but
Yeah, that was
She was a nurse.
That was Ernie's mother, George and Ernie's mother.
or was it Ernie's wife?
It was it was Bill's aunt and Bill's grandmother.
Okay, I'm not quite sure.
I remember doing stories on them.
All right. And then after Traits Woods changed, then there was Jack White's drugstore in there.
Yeah,
And
that's
I worked
right. I'd
there
forgotten
for
that.
him. Yeah, I worked there for a while.
If you remember anything, you jump in.
And I really enjoyed doing that, and you had to learn the code for pricing everything and stuff like that. And
Because Jack
Remember
Minton was
Penny?
across the road for
Yeah,
a while
Jack
too.
Minton. Oh, Jack White was
Uh,
across the road in Minton's store.
Yeah, that's right. Because
Yeah.
for a while there we
They
had
were
2 or
remodeling
3.
and
Yeah.
doing things there.
hmm
Yes.
We had Robinson's store.
Robinson.
And do you
then the meat
remember-
market?
Yes, the frozen meat.
Frozen meat.
That
yeah.
burned down.
Frozen foods, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
frozen foods. Yeah, that
Yeah.
burned down.
And
And
then
of course, across the road, Napanee apartment burned down. That was in
Yeah.
1982.
I didn't.
Yeah.
And then the King's Hotel.
Yeah, that burned at the same time.
No, it was a little bit later.
No, the
Wasn't
King's the
Or-
King Edward Hotel was later, but the King's Hotel
Went at the
burned.
same
It was
time.
right next to the Napanee,
Yeah,
and
we
it
used to
caught
go
on
and play
fire.
darts there. I
Yeah.
was on a dart team, the Bombers, and
But across the way was LaSalle's store.
LaSalle's. Yes.
What was that store?
Furniture store.
Was it furniture?
Yes. Yeah, it was furniture, and it was all. The front of the building was black, and it was shiny glass kind of looking.
Yeah, yeah, I
And,
remember that.
Yeah, it was really nice. Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. LaSalle,
You remember the theater?
just like it is today. I don't. We used to go to the theater.
Yes, but it was like one huge.
Oh, one.
Yeah.
Yeah, just one
Yeah,
theater.
just
Where
one-
now they
one
got
theater.
2 in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it used to have boxes where people could sit
Oh,
if I
don't
remember correctly.
that.
on the side, on the walls.
Okay, no, I'm not sure of that part.
Yeah, the-
And then next door to that was Agnes and Bill Corrigan. They used to have a soda shop
Next to where?
next to the theater.
Oh, yeah?
So LaSalle was on one side and they were on the other side.
Oh, I didn't,
Yeah, and because I went in there several times, but
a soda shop.
yeah. And then they moved down to down by our house on the corner. There was the old Italian Hall. Do you remember that? Down by the curry bowl. There was Nutzi Gelati.
Oh, where,
And
that
Mary's.
was the building that Mr. Will bought to,
Yeah, and
to-
then he
that
had
was
his
the
butcher
Italian
shop
Hall?
for a while.
Mm.
That used to be the Italian Hall, and Mrs. Nozella lived upstairs with her son. And, well, that was their apartment up there.
Hmm.
And then I don't know, I guess she passed away, I don't remember too much of her. And, so, but then Walter Will had the meat market there, and I guess he bought that property and building and everything. But the Dairy Dell was in that building,
Dairy Dell.
which was Agnes and Bill Corrigan, and I used to work for them.
That was in that building that was
Where
the
the meat
butcher store?
market.
Oh.
Yeah, right there, that was a cafe, and Margaret Sagert, her and I used to, she would cook and I would wait on the people.
And was it quite busy?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was a busy little place, and a lot of people that would come and have coffee like you would do today at
Mhm.
different places.
And across the road was
Was Serge
Sarach's
Groceries.
Groceries.
Yeah, and, yeah, and they lived in the back there, and
Mm-hmm.
so, and there, then next to that, Sophie LaSalle and Mary Graham, they got into that store after Agnes and Bill had, I don't know if they closed down or sold it, whatever, but they opened when King Edward burnt down,
Mm-hmm.
they moved down there.
Mm.
Agnes,
Right, because
or-
they were running the kitchen in the King Edward.
Yeah.
Okay.
so-
And then they opened up in the Shell across
yeah.
the road in the Shell building
They did.
until something happened there. There wasn't a fire there, was
I
there?
don't know what happened there,
I
but
remember
they
there
ended
was
up-
a restaurant there for a long time.
And that's where Mel and I had our wedding reception, was in there, just.
In the Shell part, when they were in the Shell? Oh, in the,
the Italian hall.
oh, in the Italian Hall.
Yeah,
All 5 of you?
all five
All
of us.
five. We had a big wedding.
There was only 10 at my wedding, so.
That was okay, Mum decorated our
Mhm.
wedding cake, and
Well,
Mel, we were trying to cut the wedding cake until, because the icing was hard already on the
It
fruit
was
cake.
like armor plate.
Well, it's quite interesting because in the 40s, 50s, and maybe beyond, but it's definitely in the 40s, 50s, 60s, when people got married, it was that big fruit cake.
Fruit cake.
Yeah.
And you had to have it ordered like way ahead so that it would cure or whatever it
So,
did.
Yeah,
And then, they iced it with that hard icing.
and that's what Mum used to do, was decorate wedding cakes for people.
Ah,
And sold them. So anyway, I said, would you make our wedding cake? And she said, sure. So she made it, and we'd taken it over there, and Mum and Dad paid for our steak dinner for 5 of us, and like we had Ernie Budberg.
oh, I remember Ernie. Was he already married with Joan?
No,
No?
no.
He was single then.
He
He
was
was
single?
single. He took our wedding picture, or what few we have,
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
and yeah. So we just got married at the courthouse
mm-hmm.
with Mr. Riley, James Riley.
I remember
Married
that
us.
name, I don't remember him though,
Yeah,
but I
you
do
did.
recall the name.
He was in the courthouse, and just a sweet short wedding, because he didn't want to get married in the Catholic Church because he wasn't Catholic, and so Father Barnes.
Did you go to any particular church?
Not
Growing
really.
Oh.
I was hanging around with a friend of mine, and he was from the Knox United. So I went there. I was even in the choir there
Mm-hmm.
for a few years, but I didn't go to church that much.
Okay, because I know May is Anglican, so I
Yes.
thought perhaps you were as well.
Well, I understand that I was baptized Catholic. I went to the Knox United Church. I joined the Navy under the Church of England. So, in fact, I was talking to a minister one time. He said, "Well, the first two were mistakes." He was a character. He used to come down in the mess deck with the regular guys. He wouldn't stay with the officers, and he would come down in the mess deck with us. And that's how we got around. He asked me where I was from and, you know, what religion I was, and, yeah.
So, Kim, how did you end up being such a strong Catholic?
When I was going to school, I had a couple friends, Leanne Davis in particular, that she was a little bit younger than me, but she sort of introduced me to the church. And then I met Rose and Salmo and Teresa Teeple, and they were very involved with the choir, so I started singing with the choir. And then when I turned 18, I decided to be baptized, so I did some sort of RCIA, I guess you would call it. They didn't call it at that point, but with Father Flynn. And so I met with him every week for about 6 months, and then he baptized me and had First Communion and was confirmed the next year. And so my godparents were the same age as me, they're friends from high school. And from there, when I moved away, I just became very involved in every parish that I was in, and so it was always important to me. So that's just kind of, my faith grew stronger as time went on, and I'm still very involved on parish council, and Michaela's an altar server, her and I both read at Mass, so still very involved in the church.
And are you still keeping in touch with Leanne?
Actually, Leanne's in Ottawa. I was just out in Ottawa, but she wasn't well, so we didn't get together, but we have over the years. She's godmother to Michaela. So yeah, we've kept in touch.
Yeah, I could tell that you have a strong faith, and I do too, so I notice things.
Yeah, exactly. So it's important, and you know.
Although, you know, I do always say that faith has got nothing to do with organized religion.
Correct.
No.
You know, I mean, I love being in an organized religion, and I'm happy to be a Catholic, and I wouldn't want to be anything else, but my faith is like, it would be strong no matter what denomination I would be.
Right, and I think that's where I love Andrea Brennan, just
Mhm.
because I've never met someone who is more inviting to everyone. It doesn't
Everybody.
matter who you are, where you're at in your
Yeah.
faith, what faith, anything. She's welcoming. Like last year, we went to the pajama mass at the Anglican church, which was wonderful. But she just is so inviting to everyone.
Yes.
And I agree with you, Mary, that faith
That-
is different than
Yeah,
organized
and
religion.
that's what attracts me to people, is the faith and not
Yes.
the organized religion. Although, as I say, I love being involved with the Catholic Church. But I've been involved with a lot of the different churches in Fernie. I keep my Catholic faith, but I went to Bible study at the Baptist Church for several years, and they were shocked that a Catholic was there. And I brought my friend who believes in Buddha, who's a Buddhist.
Right.
And I brought another friend who didn't seem to belong to, but had a faith, and the three of us really rocked that group, let me tell you. But they accepted us, and
Exactly.
they learned things, and we all became good friends.
Which is awesome.
You know, I've gone into and supported all the churches except the Jehovah Witness Church.
Right.
That's the only one I haven't been in.
But when Mel was in the hospital last year several times, Andrew was there all the time for him.
Yeah, she come see
Yeah,
me.
she's very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is very good.
Yeah.
And she's, one that will come to Trinity Lodge and
Oh, yeah.
do a
Trinity
service
Lodge
there,
once a
which is
month.
really nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We've asked the other churches if somebody would come and give us.
But never had any response
No,
from them.
they wouldn't even answer.
Actually, Deanna said to me, Mary, I can't get anybody. I said, oh, well, I'll get you somebody. And as soon as I said to Andrea, and she ran over there,
Yeah.
because I knew Andrea would be
Mhm.
terrific.
Yeah.
So when did you move into Trinity Lodge?
We're on our 13th year now.
Oh, it's been that
October
long
the
yet.
1st. It's been 13 years.
So you've seen a few changes in there as well.
Oh yeah, big time, and yeah.
Remember when it was built, her mom and dad moved in there, and we went down,
1981?
we had our,
1981,
Yeah.
July
1981.
the 6th.
we had
Yeah,
our usual
July
walk
6th.
around and had a look at everything, and yeah, this is a nice place, Steve, but I don't think I'll ever be here. Boy, did I swallow my words.
And Dad used to work there cleaning,
Mm-hmm.
doing the floors and different things. And so my aunt and uncle came in from Calgary, Mom's brother, and said, let's go out for a drive, for down South Country or whatever. And Dad said, oh no, he said, I gotta get the floors done and that. He said, I just gotta sweep up this. And my uncle said, lift the rug and put it under there for today. So he did. Because it wasn't rugs, and it was all like linoleum or something.
That space, that land was the government.
The government.
Yeah.
And the
yards.
forestry was in there too, I
Yeah,
believe.
forestry had an office in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There.
when the city of Fernie decided that they wanted to put some affordable housing, they had to buy the land from the government, and we just finished paying. No, actually, we finished paying for the building a couple of years ago, and the government offered the land to us, but in a really strange way. They said, we will pay for it, however, you have to still make payments. So it was a really strange arrangement, and I believe it's because this way they still have a hand in there, and it's really actually good.
It is
a
a good idea.
It's a really good idea, because with the government still there, it's not just, because with, I think over the years, if you have just one person running the show, and you just don't know if they're
Well,
doing everything that they should, if they're being
Yeah.
as good, if they're being as considerate or as kind.
and would they sell it out from under us too? You don't know this.
Yeah,
Where
you
BC
just don't know.
Housing is still involved.
The way because I was still there when all
Yeah.
of this came down, and at first I thought, what? They're gonna pay for it, and I thought, we're gonna get this, free and clear. And then they said, no, it's still gonna be done over a 30-year period, and we will make the payments in your name, but you still have to do all the bookwork and everything, and you still have to give us all the reports. And I thought, this is great. This is
Yeah.
good. It keeps their thumb still on there, and it's always good when you have a bigger entity
Oh,
watching
yes.
over what's being
Exactly.
done.
And since we've been there, we've had 4 different
Managers?
We're on our 5th now.
Well, but to our 4th, and there was nothing much, maybe a Christmas dinner or something, and that was it. Well, when Deanna came, every month we had something going
Yeah.
on. St. Patrick's we'd have
She had a
Irish
total
stew
good
and-
program.
Yeah, she
Oh,
had
yeah.
really good, and well, we were getting fatter and fatter, we eating all the time, and then there's some that bring, every time you say we're gonna have coffee, then somebody brings donuts or pastry or whatever. And then, of course, Deanna had reasons that she wanted to leave, to be closer to family, and so now we have Kim, which is very good too.
On the learning curve.
And
Mhm.
yeah, she's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, she
Yeah,
only
they-
had 1 month training with
Mhm.
That's
Dan.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we had a big Christmas dinner. I bet you there's about 75
Yeah,
people
I saw the
there.
photos.
And I go, holy cow.
I kind of miss coming to all of those things.
Yeah.
When I became mayor, the mayor and council is automatically the board.
Mhm.
And so I thought, gosh, there's nothing really much going on here. And so that's when I started the Christmas get-together where we would do Christmas.
Okay.
And then I said, let's do Valentine, but I didn't have as much cooperation with the other manager. It was like
No.
pulling teeth.
That's
But then when we hired Deanna, and I said, Deanna, you can do whatever you want because you're the manager. However, it really would be nice to have something, more. And holy
She
moly,
ran with
She
that.
went wild.
she just, and not only that, but she got a grant and, redid that whole room with a fireplace. She
Yeah.
is the most amazing person. And last week I got called
Mhm.
from another place that is going to hire her and said, what do you think? And after I finished, she said, that is exactly what we thought we saw in her
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I said, look, I'm not making it up. I said, or embellishing it.
Yeah.
I said, this woman is spectacular. She
And then
is.
she's been getting
loving.
a lot of
Yeah.
like we got the bathtub taken out and put a shower, walk-in shower.
Mhm.
And we got linoleum that we've been dying to get. And just getting a little bit of work done. And
Yeah.
everybody's apartment needs something.
Yeah.
Because from
Because nothing much had
1981,
been done
nothing
No,
for
was
there's
years.
done.
very little
Yeah.
maintenance done.
Yeah.
No.
And
Well,
even though
match.
we would say, we want this, we want that, it was like we were ignored, and I
Yeah.
thought, this is odd, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway,
Right now,
I'm sure that the present person will,
yes, she is.
yeah, she's a caring person
Yes,
as
she
well.
is, so.
She needs
And we
time to
do
learn.
yoga every week too.
Oh, so we're gonna take a little tiny break.
And her husband works up at the ski hill doing something, and he's had a stroke, I believe, so he has a hard time getting around. But anyway, they moved the dad to Calgary, they have a home there, and he got sick and he went in the hospital and then he died.
Oh.
So that was another, so 3 apartments came and they all needed work done,
So she had a busy time.
so we really had a busy time.
But it's good that, you know, it was started that as soon as somebody leaves, then it's redone, it's,
Yeah.
And before, when we had our first manager, she wasn't gonna paint our apartment. And, well, actually, our first apartment, we didn't get it painted because somebody had just been there 3 months or something, so it was fine, other than they never cleaned it. And I was not happy with that, and they said there was something wrong on top of the cupboards and everything, and they said, well, if you got an animal, you got an animal, so
what?
that's right, that's
Yeah.
the first manager.
The animal, their
And-
cat threw up on top of the cupboards,
Yeah,
and it was dried hard up there. Nobody ever
they never
went up
cleaned
on
it.
top there to clean the top of the cupboards.
Anyway, that was that, and they said if you got an animal, you got an animal, and I thought, well, I don't have an animal, that's not my mess, but I had to clean it. So, anyway, we moved into another apartment after someone had passed on, and they said, oh, you're not getting that painted, and pardon me, he's been here quite a few years. So she got the painter in, and he said, oh, we haven't had this color paint for years. So like it was painted last year. No, it
Yeah.
wasn't. So
Yeah.
anyway, we did get it painted, but she wouldn't put a new floor in for us. And it was cushion linoleum, it was a
Mhm.
It
trial
was an
thing.
experiment, yeah.
And well, our furniture just sunk into it, and Mel had put wheels on all my furniture that he had made, like china cabinet
Mhm.
and different things, and no, they wouldn't do it. So anyway, Deanna did it.
Yeah, she was great. She did a fabulous job
She did,
at the
so-
Trinity.
Yeah.
And everybody's so much happier.
And with her, we had 23 or so Christmas trees throughout.
Yeah.
You know,
Everywhere
every
you
room
look,
had a
Yeah,
Christmas
she
tree.
she loves Christmas trees.
And Kim said, I'm not having 23 trees. I don't mind having trees. So anyway, we've got one in the TV room and we got 3 out front, so it's nice too. Yeah, it's great. And like she says, I'm not Deanna, I'm Kim, and that's great, no problem, you know. So we get along great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But as long as she keeps up doing the
Yeah,
major
well,
things, you know.
Yeah.
Now that
Yeah.
she's learnt the
Yeah.
paperwork and the AGM thing was on then, and just everything came
Everything
in.
was thrown on her lap after
Well.
1 month.
You know, Deanna
Yeah.
helped her, and
Yeah.
so no, it's going good now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So now we have yoga.
You have
We
yoga.
have chair yoga every Monday at 12:30.
Because she is a yoga teacher.
She's a
Yeah.
yoga teacher, and we do it for half an hour.
Wonderful.
And Mel and I both participate and
Yep.
love it. Yeah, there's maybe 10, 12 of us.
Loosens it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's easier on your body, the yoga, but it's
Oh,
very
yeah.
effective.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we
Yes.
have our coffee and that on Fridays, and bingo on Thursdays at the Tom, and bingo at our place every second Tuesday at the 1 o'clock, and so, I mean, we're entertained there, and sometimes you think, oh, I just want a day off, you know, and then we have the station strings come in once a week,
Mhm.
once a month, and we go out and listen to them and have coffee too. And
Yeah, because none of that was really happening before.
no,
No.
none of
It's
it.
kind of boring for
Yeah.
people.
And we had Pat Robertson come and sing Christmas carols the other day. I kind of missed that because I had to go to another apartment where they had company and I wanted
Mhm.
to spend some time. But they said it was nice.
So it sounds like you are not going to be moving anywhere else anywhere soon?
No, I think we're in our final place right where we're staying.
Yep.
And we've got a little bigger unit than you know, like two of us have got
Mhm.
the bigger units. And
Not much bigger though. You can't, you
Yeah, I
can't
know,
visualize the difference. You
Yeah,
can't see.
they're not very big, I know.
No,
But what else do you need? We need to get rid of some of our furniture again.
I know, that would be hard for me to get rid of stuff.
Mm.
I'm one of these people that gets attached to things.
Me too.
oh, yes.
Mel says I'm like my dad, I collect everything. And I don't wanna let go of anything. Well, maybe tomorrow I need it, right?
Exactly.
And I don't use it in a year, and I get rid of it, then I need it.
That's exactly what happens.
Especially my
As soon as you give
Keep
something
it a year
away,
in one day and then.
You need it in.
Yeah, exactly, that's right.
So I noticed that you collect nativity scenes from the different places you go to,
I do.
because I've seen those photos.
Yes, I'm up to 51 nativity sets from around the world. So anywhere we travel, we try to locate one. So it's been kind of neat to have, you know, the different types of nativity sets, and that's my special collection.
You must have a giant house.
I don't have a giant house, but I have everything strategically placed.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Place for everything and everything in its place.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
But we're starting to think of downsizing now ourselves and
Yeah.
looking for a new home and sell our bigger house, and then our daughter can have the new place, and then we can be a little bit more transient
Fernie.
back and forth to Fernie.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I decide to retire.
Uh-huh. Well, you're still young.
Yeah, so I've
You
got
know,
my,
you're far away from retirement yet, unless you
No.
took a really early
No, actually,
50s retirement.
I have my, my pension is, I've got my unreduced pension, so I'm
Oh.
good to go as of August. I have reached the magic 85 factor, so I could go anytime with a full pension. But I love what I do, so
Yeah, and
I'm not
it's,
quite
and if
ready.
you, yeah, and if you're still loving what you're doing and you're still
Yeah.
good at it,
Yeah.
why should you?
Then it's
Exactly.
not, then it's not work then.
No.
No.
That was the same way.
Well,
at
this is
mine.
it. It's not work when you love to do something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Michaela still has university and
Mhm.
stuff coming up, so no plan to leave there yet. But it will be nice once I retire to be able to go back and forth. and
So
spend more
you'd like
time
to
here.
come here more often, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't think we'd ever move here now like our initial plan was,
Mhm.
but just because everything is established in Alberta, different province, you know.
And especially if your daughter ends up being there permanently, then.
Right.
Yeah.
But we would have the flexibility to go
Yeah,
back and
coming
forth,
back
having
and
the place
forth.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you're here quite often.
Yeah, we like to come home as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
So
Fernie tugs at your heart.
it does. This will always be home.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So
You've been so
Do
busy.
you have any childhood memories of Fernie?
snow,
Snow.
snow, and more snow.
Yeah, that's true.
I
We
just-
haven't had too much of it
Yeah,
down
no.
this year.
Yeah, we don't get any of the winters like we used to.
No.
Oh.
It's all over the world.
I remember
changing.
tobogganing off the carport and garage roof
Oh, yeah.
into the yard and trudging through the snow till you got to the highway, and then we'd walk the highway all the way down and then go up to Isabella Dickin or to the high school. I
You
just
couldn't
remember
even
the
walk the
snow.
highway now with all the traffic.
No,
No.
exactly.
But it was pretty quiet back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I don't even like driving anymore. You know, around town it's fine.
Yeah,
But
not
to
on
do
the
the
highway.
highway, I go to Cranbrook and a few places, but just don't, like, I haven't been to Lethbridge, I'll bet you 5 years now. I like to
And
go and
she wants
visit
to
Eric
go.
and Christine Kwok, but I just don't get there, because that's
Mm-hmm.
where they live now.
Is Mrs. Kwok still in the home?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm still there. Oh, she'll be there forever.
She's right across the hall from us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We
She
talk to
comes.
her every morning.
Mhm.
Margie, welcome. She comes. We leave our door open since
Mhm.
her husband passed
Yeah.
away, and that way she can come in and visit us.
Every
or
once in a
she's
while, she'll
got
bring us a little
problem.
treat of some Chinese food that she's made up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and they're the
Yeah.
ones that had the Diamond Grill for so many years.
Yes, her son and
Where Nevada's is now.
Yeah.
yeah. And so
Ginger beef.
Yeah.
yeah, ginger beef.
Yeah, it was
is
called ginger beef when they had it. The Yips had it when it was the Diamond Grill.
Diamond Grill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And
that was
before
the-
that was a
the
theater.
The Orpheum.
Oh, see, you didn't know that.
Really?
It
Oh,
was
yeah.
Orpheum Theater. Yeah.
Because there's a word on the side saying photography, I think it says. And I thought, that's strange. Did it used to be a photography studio at one time?
Don't know. It was
No,
a theater
it
because
was
you
a
had to
theater.
walk down.
Yeah,
Oh.
it was a great slope in that theater.
Yeah.
And we used to have drink our pop, and roll the bottles down to the screen.
So it was like the screen was down and the seats were,
The screen was up,
It was just your
Oh,
floor
and
was
the floor was
tilted.
tapered down.
Yeah.
ah,
Because if you go down the basement, which we've been there several times, it's, you can see a bit of the floor. So
Yeah, you can see where the
Really?
original floor was.
Yeah. And,
Yep.
yeah, we had, well, Eric and Christine had that place for quite a few years,
Yeah.
moving from the Alpine up there and buying the business.
mm-hmm.
And then we used to go in and clean when they went to Hong Kong on holiday. They had keys to the place and,
So you remember then when the Northern Hotel had that great big lobby?
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
The Ross brothers would sit in the chairs, in those big overstuffed
Okay.
chairs by the window,
Yeah.
stare at everybody that walked by.
And across the street was Waldorf Hotel.
Yeah, the Waldorf Hotel.
Yeah, and I remember that there too. And then when it got sold and changed into tax furniture.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. And the White Spot. Do you remember the White Spot?
Yes, the White Spot. My mother worked there. I worked there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we worked for Mrs. Lynch, Violet.
Is that who owned it?
Yeah.
On the top left corner of the ceiling, on the wall when you walked in, was there like a puppet?
There was
Little
something
puppet
there.
station?
There was something there.
We were never allowed in there, but from the doorway one time I saw this and I was mesmerized by it. And I've never been able to talk to anybody that knew what I was talking about.
There was something there. I can't really.
It looked like it was kind of round and red and white, and you could see
I think
figures.
Things moving.
Yeah, moving.
Yeah, yeah. And
From
then
a
my
kid
mother.
with no toys. That was
That was, yeah, special.
My mother worked downstairs in, I don't know what they called that room.
White spot.
Yeah.
It was the
Anyway, they had an
Yeah.
elevator, a dummy elevator.
twilight room.
Twilight room.
That's what it
There
was.
was a dummy elevator, and you pull the food up or on
Ah.
this little thing in the wall.
Mhm.
Kind of neat. But then
The dumbwaiter, okay.
Dumbwaiter. That's
Mhm.
yeah.
And so next door was the dry cleaners.
Dry
Yeah.
cleaners, spick
With
and
spick and
span.
span.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
next door to that was Mabel's Cafe.
Mabel's Cafe
Yes,
was
Mabel
right in
Who
there.
Who was
somewhere.
Mabel?
Mabel lived down by.
She really was Mabel?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
there was Mabel.
Oh, okay.
She lived right down on 8th Avenue. She would have been on right on the corner across from the wine and beer store,
Okay.
or where they made wine and beer, right across there.
And next to her was the shoe repair,
Ralph Lento.
Ralph Lento.
Lento.
And then further down was Stella, the hairdresser. You remember her?
Yes, when she, no, it was Maya that first came, but she worked for Stella,
Mm-hmm.
and that was in a house up on 2nd Avenue,
But I remember her, Stella being on.
in
On
a
that,
hairdressing
yeah.
place.
Mm-hmm. And then on the corner was
Maffioli.
Louis Maffioli.
Yeah.
And then across the road, I remember, was the clinic. You have to go in the basement
Yes.
to
Yeah,
see
that's
Dr.
Doctor's
East.
Clinic.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
Yeah.
There was Dr. East, Dr. Baird,
Dr.
Dr.
McCurdy.
Dr.
McCurdy.
McCurdy,
Yeah,
Yeah.
McCurdy did
and
my
you,
operation.
that's right, you had to go downstairs.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
to
going
get your
down there
lab
as a
test
kid.
done and
Mhm.
that. I know I used to be down there for hours getting tests done and, yeah, for thyroid.
And then, where across from the King Edward was the In-Towner
The In-Towner Motel.
with a gas
Yeah, the gas station.
station.
Elise used to own that at one
Yeah.
time, before the In-Towner.
And
Was
Andy.
it
Andy
was it
Lee's?
Andy
No,
Lee's?
not Andy.
No,
not
it
Andy.
was somebody
No,
else.
Andy had that,
That
place
flashlight
for-
Andy from West
Flashlight
Fernie.
Andy, yeah, from West Fernie.
He used to
He
bring
had
food
Park
in from
Place,
Lethbridge and that.
Yeah,
Was
that would be Andrew Lee's that had the movable van grocery store.
Yes, and he used to go to Natal and sell my grandmother food there.
Yeah,
plus
he
other
sold
people.
everything. He
Right.
sold guns and rifles and
Oh, yeah, I bought it, I
and,
bought guns off.
like wall
No.
material, like
Anything.
Yeah.
mhm,
He
plywood and
Yeah.
food.
And his shop was uptown, where, is it Park Place? No, not Park Place. The elevator.
The old elevator.
Old elevator,
Yes,
that used
that's
to
right.
be Andy Lee's
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's where
how
he
that's
kept all his
changed.
stock.
Yes. And,
And there was a station where now it's the, that castle on First.
Oh,
There used to be a gas station there.
okay, I
Do
don't
you remember that?
know. Because we lived like across the street from that place. I don't remember a gas station there though.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah.
Remember
was
when
a
the train
gas-
station was further on, closer to the tracks?
Yeah, well, they moved it
Remember that,
to Throckmorton.
Yeah.
Used to deliver telegrams with
When
us.
we came to Fernie, we came on the train and got off at the station where it was there. I remember.
I
Getting
loved the
off.
trains.
Yeah.
Sinetzes used to live in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
so
Sinetzes.
Len would have went to school with Julie
Mhm.
and my brother Lance. They were all
Yeah,
in the same
that's right.
class.
I remember
Mhm.
hopping on the train and going to Lourdes Camp out by Nelson. I went there 2 years in a row with Carmen Bella,
Oh, yeah.
and we had fun. We spent, I don't know, maybe 10 days. And then the last time I went to Nelson and went to the Chocamaica. I was invited as Carnival Queen of Fernie.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat on little MGM cars on the back of it and went through the parade and saw all their different things, boats racing in the lake there, and they put us up at the Sterling Hotel, and then we ate at Crocker.
Do you recall in the 50s, either of you, on the corner across from the high school where Fabiano's built their house, but over there was a place where they shoot horses?
Yeah. Who was that?
I don't know. Is that where your mom had her laundry?
No.
No.
Were there still any Chinese laundries in the alleyway of Third Avenue?
No. My mother had the laundry. It was started in the Spick and Span, the basement there. And then where Johnny Masisco lives,
Mhm.
that empty block, there used to be a concrete building on the back.
Oh, was there?
And they had the laundry in there for a few years.
Oh, okay, because they said, when I've talked to some seniors, they said that there was Chinese laundries. And when I was a kid, I could see that there said laundries on some of the old buildings that have now been torn down in the alleyway behind 2nd Avenue,
Okay,
across from, on 9th Street.
right.
Because they said there was several Chinese laundries.
I've heard of them, but
Yeah.
it was before my time even.
On
But I do remember Patterson's. I don't remember being Mr. McCook's, but I remember
Yeah.
Patterson's.
But you know the name because of the house, right?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
because Joe McCook had sold my dad this little house.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
There used
But
to
I-
be a shoe store right there too. Dick Guzzi.
Oh,
Yeah,
Dick
Guzzi had the
Yeah,
shoe
the
store.
shoe store.
Guzzi's
Getting
and
shoes.
Guzzi's, the Guzzi store was on the corner, and then Dick added to it, and he
Shoe
had the
store.
shoe store. But the Patterson store, and then Mrs. Olga. Oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. Anyway, she took it over from Patterson's. But when we were kids, it was so great because you could go there during recess if you had a nickel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And buy those little penny candies.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
we
And
all
you could
did
get
that.
You could get a lot of penny candies,
Right,
for
Yeah.
if you had a dime. You'd
Yeah.
come out with a little bag full.
And you remember the old hospital in Fernie?
I
where
remember
Ron
the
and
one,
Jean-
where the Park Place was.
No, this one is across from Salah's Funeral, where they used to be, where the funeral parlors used to be.
There was a
On the
Hospital.
corner, that
oh
apartment
the white
building.
one. You're talking about the white one, the white apartment.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that used to be the old hospital. Now, when I had my leg broken, that's the hospital I went into. And right next where Ron and Jeannie Parker live in
Mhm.
Aunt Jane's place, that used to be the laundry
Yeah.
for
For the hospital.
Yeah.
And then Dr. LaRue was in there at,
Oh, I never knew that.
he was in that hospital run,
Mm-hmm.
working there. Yeah, because my dad had to take me up there with my leg and that. And that was a 2-story building, and then they took off the top and fixed it up and made
Mhm.
apartments, and whoever bought it.
Mm-hmm.
And where you're living is the nurse's home.
When
That
you
was
remember
right by
when
the
it was the
hospital.
nurse's
Oh,
home.
yeah, I
Yeah.
remember the nurses living in there you know, can't tell you who they were, but
Mm-hmm.
yes. And they had the white uniform and the hat and the navy cloak.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Nowadays, they look like they're coal miners, some of them.
Well, you don't know if he's a
Actually, they
doctor
look like
or
they're
if they're a
wearing
farmer
pajamas
or
sometimes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
because they're flowered and they're
Yeah.
a weird material.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Well,
true.
one nurse that Dad had in the hospital in Edmonton, she had a sweater on over, you know, no name tag, and there was hair all over her sweater.
Cat.
Yeah. And it
Somehow
just-
the old white
I loved it.
outfits made a person feel more confident that you were
Yes,
being taken care of.
definitely. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, the flowered outfits, the pants and the flowered tops, just look like they're way too leisurely.
You're right, yeah.
But I mean, I know it's more comfortable for the nurses.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's good, but you know, to instill confidence, there was just something about that uniform that made you feel like, okay, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you go to the doctors and my blood pressure's up and it's that white coat syndrome, but you don't even wear a white coat anymore. You
Yeah,
know, you tell
exactly.
them, yeah, no.
Yeah, certainly life was different in Fernie, you know, back in 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And I mean, it's always changed.
Oh,
You know,
definitely.
it's changed in the last few years, it will change again in the
Change.
future.
And maybe it'll go back somewhere like that.
Well,
I don't
that's
know,
why it's
but-
good to document what
What
people
happened.
remember,
Mhm.
what it was like, because I often say to Patrick and Barb, "Well, how wonderful would it have been if 100 years ago they had something like this?" Because I love history,
Yes.
and I would have loved to go and listen to a video of people talking about what it was like. You know, what it's like now, what it was like then.
Well, you have a one-room place, and I remember going out to the farm, and it was one room. There was a stove and a table and a bench where you put the water from the well that you brought in, and you put a pot on the stove, and then the bed was in the corner, and kind of a little closet affair that was removable, and that's where my grandfather and my uncle, they lived there on Lake Kukanusa now. And I remember going, oh, the pump, got to use that pump and water that garden, and had a piece of metal that went down the middle of the garden. And then the chicken would come in the house, and, you know, oh, that's a friend. And washrooms, well, there was the outhouse across the yard, and I loved going there. And we
No,
used
that's
to-
all
our
underwater.
son used to go down and hay there. My brother hayed there, not my son, my brother. He hayed there all
Do
the
you
time.
have any family members buried in the old cemetery side of the cemetery?
Well, my uncle is up there, and my
Your
father.
grandparents.
Yeah, my grandparents are there.
And your
John
grandmother.
My
Casella.
grandmother's there.
Yeah, because I was just thinking about that.
Yes,
Because obviously they would have been there before the new one was put up.
yeah, they're,
Are they buried in those plots with
there's
you know,
cement
metal around them?
Well, cement, and, because Kim and Gordon that went up and worked on it a couple of years ago.
Cleaned it all up for
Fixed it all up.
great grandmother's place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
put a marker on
and
Yeah.
Pat's
Your
got
grandmother's.
it all.
Big markers?
Yeah, big
The tall
stones.
cross,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
My
They
grandmother
painted the
never had one.
rosaries, and it's probably 40 degrees outside, and there's Kim painting all the white beads.
Oh, nice, Kim.
Yeah, and
Made it
Michaela and
fist.
Gordon with a pair of scissors going around cutting the grass around the edging. Yeah, it's funny.
Kim brought a headstone for my grandmother, or for my grandmother.
Because it
Mhm.
But
wasn't
she never
marked.
had no marking at all.
Oh,
So we got that done, and
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's so much history in the old cemetery. And, you know, when they started doing just the flat rock, you know, rocks where they were overgrown and you couldn't even see them in the new cemetery, I thought it was really sad. I was so glad when the city allowed stones to,
Stones
you know,
there.
that rise up and you can see them better.
Yeah.
It just seems like more of an respect for the dead that's there instead of just having a flat
That
thing
flat
that you
stone
can.
there.
So
I like
that's-
I like the new walls that are put up. the
Mhm.
mausoleum.
Oh, the columbarium.
Columbariums.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a really nice
Yeah.
It is.
section up there.
Yeah, it's nice for people that are cremated
Yes.
to be able to have a place up there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
visible.
That's where we'll all be.
Yep.
We'll be neighbors forever.
We all got our niches there, so.
Got
Yeah.
our niche already.
I feel like I'm not going anywhere
Right.
myself, except up there somewhere. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if it's gonna be underground or in the columbarium yet.
Right.
Haven't made up my mind.
I know we have both, so we're still sitting on the
Still,
fence.
yeah, you're like me then.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know, this has been really great being able to talk to you guys about things the way they used to be, your life, and I don't think we emphasized enough that you were Miss Fernie in 1959.
1959.
You were the carnival queen.
And that's when Mel, he came to town right after that and was the manager at the
Arena.
arena.
So
And we met, we couldn't stand each other before that,
We
but,
knew each other
That was
before.
because he knew he was marrying the queen.
Queen,
he
yeah.
said.
well, that's what he said, yeah, he said, at least I married the
We
queen.
only lived about a block and a half apart.
So you knew each other.
Oh, yeah, we knew each other.
He'd walk by our.
But it wasn't until you became the queen.
That's,
That's
Yeah.
it, Marjorie.
yeah, we got married in 61.
Yep.
June the 9th, it's 50, I'll be 59 next year.
Huh,
And when-
congratulations,
One
that's
lady here
wonderful.
said we wouldn't last 6 months.
Hey, you proved them wrong.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I certainly appreciate the three of you coming here today and doing this with me. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for having us.
I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you, I
Thank you,
enjoyed
and
that.
Kim,
Thank you, Mary.
thank
It's
you
good to
so
see you.
much. And thank you for joining us.